are in front of California Classic. This is our body shop. It's just down the driveway from the PTeazer office and showrooms, and this is where we developed the first PTeazer car that actually got PTeazer started. It was a PT Cruiser, belonged to my partner Faye, and it was the fourth PT Cruiser available back in 2000. We'd been waiting on a list for about a year to get the car, and then when we got it, we talked her into letting us modify it a little bit as an advertisement for our California Classic body shop, having no idea what was about to happen, and we just happened to get the car finished for the start of the Hot Rod Magazine Power Tour. We went on that trip, and the rest is history, really. We just got inundated with telephone calls, people inquiring, wanting to buy roll pans and hoods and front fascias and two-door panels and whatever we had to offer, really. I think we've shipped to somewhere between 30 and 40 foreign countries now, as well as every state in the US. And who would have thought that the PT Cruiser would take off the way it did? This is our original PTeazer wide body panel. This was the very first customized PT Cruiser, I think, other than Chrysler's own concept car. They came out with a blue PT Cruiser panel originally, but they had smooth sides that went all the way down flush. I wanted to do something different than theirs, so I kept with the recess like in the window lines. This is actually still the foam plug that we originally made our molds from, and I'm really surprised at how well it's held up. It's now been 4 years of driving it every day. These fenders are about 4.5 inches wider than a stock PT Cruiser. We also brought the fender down about 3 inches to fill in that big gap between the tyre on a normal PT Cruiser. You can see how much wider it is here as it blends into the rocker molding, and then as the rocker molding goes down, it comes into the fenders, which are fiberglass fenders actually that we made, which are 2 3/4 inches wider at this point. These original parts were all out of fiberglass because at that time we had no idea it was going to turn into a huge popular vehicle, and that we would have to later on go to urethane and something that's more practical for mass production. If you look at this car and you look at our new Roadster, you can see that the Roadster was done entirely with the front end of this car, and then we customized one of our two-door wide-body panel kits, cut the top out of it and adapted that into the Roadster sides. We also extended the rocker molding further down to make the car look a little lower. This is actually the first ever roll pan on a PT Cruiser. This was the original old fiberglass roll pan. When we first went on the power tour, we didn't have any exhaust coming out. It was just straight across the back, and that was primarily because there were no exhausts available at that time. This is only, we're talking 4.5 weeks after the PT Cruisers were on the market. Okay, well, before the PT Cruisers came on the scene, California Classic was primarily doing restorations on vintage racing cars, street rods and custom Harleys and interesting projects like that. And this was a McLaren Can-Am car. Actually, the serial number on this car is 001. It was Bruce McLaren's first car of this model. Working on cars like this and the Lolas and the GT40s and the old McLarens and stuff, it is kind of what helped us in the execution of developing the PT Cruiser stuff and learning how to make the shapes flow and be aerodynamically and aesthetically correct. This Cruiser probably holds the record for having traveled the furthest distance to come to PTeazer to be modified. This is Jim and Sally Urich, and they're out of Pennsylvania. What's unique about this car is it has, I believe it's the first PT Cruiser to get a rumble seat in the back, and Jim bugged me for months to try to build him a rumble seat, and I was really leery of actually people riding back here, being exposed to the traffic and stuff, and he assured me that it wasn't for humans, it was for his little Wile E. Coyote and his Roadrunner to sit back here. A couple of other points of this car, we filled in the 39 Ford tail lights, and he added blue dots to those. Door handles have been removed and mounted on remote poppers, and And then we did a little bit of trim on the inside. That he already had some carbon fiber stuff in here, and so we found a cloth that kind of accented the carbon fiber. We did the cowl induction PTeazer hood, but we mounted it a little differently, modifying a BMW hood hinge mechanism to flip it forward so that people could see his detail work on the engine compartment. So its next stop is going to be the Niagara Falls cruise. Hopefully he can win some trophies with it. Okay, this is a pretty unique modification at the moment too. I believe this is one of 2 suicide door cars I've ever heard of that with the front doors suicided. This was a pretty big undertaking with the weight of that front door to get it to function and never be able to sag. It belongs to a gentleman, Tom Reeves, and it's a 2-door panel kit, as you can see. We're building him a one-off custom steering wheel like what's on the Roadster, except for his will be a functional airbag and everything. It won't have just the big center cap of a wheel like I've got on mine. We're also painting his dash body color and smoothing all of that out. So we've got to get this one done so we can have it tomorrow and get time to detail it and get it to the show. Thanks for tuning in to our first edition of PTeazer TV. I hope you enjoyed everything you saw on this show, and stay tuned to our website, PTeazer.com. You never know, you might see your car featured on an upcoming episode.